So then just a few fine cracks to pop into this lower section. But as I say, it doesn't need to be as complexly rendered as the portions above. Yeah, so that's not too bad overall. I'll give you guys just a little bit of time to work on yours before moving into the final stage, which is working on accents. While you're doing that, I might rework slightly this little bottom section of leaves, which doesn't need too much, just a touch here and there. And at about 10 past or so, we'll be moving into having a look at how we can use sort of final glazes, dark accents, and highlights just to sort of reinforce everything. And to a certain extent, it's just because things tend to get a little bit sort of messier. Well, not messier, but things get, say, grayer as we're working. You tend to lose those extremes of white and black because there'll be something mixed into the white or black. So the final stage will just be to kind of clean back everything that we've done. Sort of clean back our palette, have a completely clean palette, completely clean set of brushes, and just go in and do our brightest notes and our darkest notes. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of time to keep working on yours. I'm just going to touch up these last few leaves, and then at about 10 past or so, we'll give everything a clean and move into the final stage. just got a couple more minutes before we move into the final stage. So I'll zoom out slightly. Just swivel around. So let me know if you have any questions sort of up to this point. As I say, we've got about 20 minutes left or so, so we're not going to do anything too drastic. It's just going to be some sort of subtle adjustments that we're making for the last few minutes before I wrap up. Just focus that in. So first thing we want to do is just totally clean off our palette, or at least a reasonable section of the palette, so you've got some space to mix your pure black and pure white paints. That's largely what we'll be working with at this stage. So start with that, cleaning off. Again, you can just sort of scrape and wipe with kitchen roll. So Anne just asked if I could send a photo of the final painting, which yeah, I'm happy to do so. I'll send one through, and I'll also upload it onto the course page on Scumble and Glaze. So if you're signed up for that, you'll be able to see it there as well. So once you're done cleaning your palette, make sure your brushes are nice and clean, or at least a few brushes are nice and clean. Now you're going to want at least one larger brush for your black portions of the painting, so for the dark accents, and one slightly larger brush for your highlights. When I say large, I mean only as big as, say, this is probably the one I'll use as my my highlight brush. It's only slightly bigger than the tiny ones. And I'll use this one as my my dark brush. So let's start with the dark accents. And what we want to do is just sort of look at the reference. So I'll just swivel across so you can see the ref as well, most of it. So have a look at the reference and just see where you need to push the darks darker. It's not super apparent in how it looks in the webcam, but my darks through this portion of the shadow just aren't pure black. If I pick up a little bit of medium, actually, before I do that, last thing you want to do is just pop out some fresh black and white paint as well, because you'll have found that the paint will have got mixed in when you've been kind of like dipping your brush in. You'll have made it a bit lighter than you ideally would like it to be. So a little bit extra white, a little bit of extra black at this stage, just for this final pass. And so we want to pick up some pure black paint, tiny bit of medium to make it a bit more spreadable. And I'm going to use that just to reinforce those portions of the shadows, which is going to be sort of particularly right next to the skull, where it's casting that shadow. Just make sure they're as dark as they can possibly be. And I'm using quite a lot of medium, so it's verging on a glaze, so sort of thinly applying this paint over the surface. And then similar to what we did up here, because I can sort of taper it out using the fact that it's sort of washy, I can sort of just gradually wash it up to the edge and then make it nice and dark right below these leaves. So that's going to make the leaves pop out a bit more. So I'm just looking around and finding anywhere I can make the painting just pure black. And then if you need to sort of smudge that edge, because you're just working black over a grey, you can just use some paper towel to sort of blend it out. As I say, you could also go in with your actual background color. That would work as well. So you have those two options. Then I can do the same thing up among the leaves. So anywhere we've got really dark notes amongst the leaves. That's primarily just down to your observations. So just look across your reference, whichever one you're working from. Look for those darkest notes. And then even using a brush this big, you can start to lay them in and they'll work well. A lot of them will probably have already been suggested in various earlier stages of the painting. Placement of them. So that's about it for the accents. So that was my palette cups just went flying because they were clipped to a slightly unstable portion of my easel. So I'll go grab them in a moment. Luckily, they didn't splash anything on the painting. Yes, that's it pretty much for accents. So we can move into highlights now, which are generally a bit more limited. I'll be pointing out where the highlights will be. I'm just going to grab my cups. Pour out a little bit more medium as well. So I'll take my other larger brush, not large, super large brush, other larger brush. And I just want to sort of take my white paint, and anywhere where I want sort of a bright highlight on the skull form, I'll place just some pure white paint, basically. So it's as simple as that, really. Don't really need to use any medium because we want to, as I've said before, we want to build the paint texture in the lighter portions. The paint's also wet underneath. We've already been working in this section, so it's going to blend in a little bit. So similar to how we sort of glaze, you can sort of slightly kind of scrub in and let the blending just sort of exaggerate those just subtle gradations between light and dark. So I'm just painting these highlights just directly in. So it's just pure white paint that I'm mixing in anywhere I want it to just go a bit, just push a little bit lighter, the painting. And as I say, you probably blend in a little bit, so then you can go back, slab on just a bit more pure white paint into, say, this portion of the skull here, where we want it to go lightest. So yeah, about that's sufficient for the highlights. I'm just going to check in. Last thing I'll do is just check in with my full pass student, and then I'll let you guys carry on with your highlights and accents. And then just do a little bit of a wrap up, see if you have any questions. If you think of any questions in the meantime, feel free to ask. But yeah, I'll just pop away for a moment, and then I'll be back soon. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the session. As I say, you can ask any questions now if you like, or if you want to share your work, feel free to. I think you should be able to turn your cameras on. But yeah, hopefully it was interesting. If you have any questions after the workshop or anything that pops into your mind, feel free to message me or just send me an email. And if you're posting anything on social media, definitely tag me because I'd like to see what everyone did. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully it was good. As far as what to do with the painting once it's totally dried, so ideally you want to leave it to dry for... Thanks, Anne. Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah, you just want to leave it to just totally dry because it's oils before varnishing. I've got a varnishing video from another course on my website, which I'll pop onto the end of this one. But generally, I just spray varnish stuff. So if you leave it to dry a good few months, ideally. Thanks, Elisa. Yes, if you leave it to dry, sort of ideally like 2 to 3 months generally. Thanks, Anne. That's your kind of... Well, optimal is about a year for oil paint technically, but it's not realistic usually for actually exhibiting or selling things. So give it about a month or two as your kind of minimum ideal amount. You can varnish stuff faster than that, but there is a bit of shifting that goes on as the painting dries. But yeah, I just do spray varnish, so whatever you like. I'd probably, for something like this, go for a gloss varnish because it kind of... We've gone for something that's quite contrasty, so there's a lot of saturation in all of the subjects. Yeah, thanks, Keisha. Yeah, definitely. Anyone who's posting, definitely tag me. I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone's work. But yeah, because it's quite a contrasty piece, so you'll find that gloss probably works better, definitely than matte. So you either eggshell or gloss, but I would probably, personally, I'm going to varnish mine with a gloss. So if you do have a gloss, that's ideal, but eggshell's fine as well. Yeah. Yeah, if you should have access, all of you should have access to the recording, so you'll be able to go back because it is quite a lot to take in. So yeah, if you want to go, you can also rework, so you don't have to sort of stop now and varnish immediately. You can keep reworking this. You'll have as much time almost as you like to kind of keep working over the top, which is the nice thing about oils. So if you want to sort of spend time refining in your own time, you can rewatch the videos and see me do bits and pieces over again. But yeah, that's it.